Welcome to Transcending the Matrix, remembering your multidimensional self. And why do we say remembering? Of course, we are already a multidimensional being. We have simply come into this third dimensional reality with a spiritual amnesia, a veil that has dropped down and prevented us for some time in recalling and reclaiming who we actually are. So when we remember that we are multidimensional, it's simply a matter of coming online, if you like, from an offline state or becoming activated from a dormant state. And this is incredibly exciting to know that we can reclaim our supernatural self, our multi-dimensional self, whilst we are having this third dimensional experience. So what are the dimensions that we are all a part of? We talk in a generic sense about the third dimensional reality. It's something that even if we're not aware of multidimensionality, it seems like a very common term. It seems like something that we know somehow within us. There's an understanding that we are human beings having a third dimensional experience. Yet as that human being, we can also be in touch with a fourth dimensional, fifth dimensional, and even higher dimensional experience whilst we are inhabiting the physical body. So this is not a woo-woo concept. This is actual reality. This is who we are. What do you consider when I say you are having a third dimensional experience? What are the code words or the key words that come through you when you consider yourself as that third dimensional human? And so keywords, code words, codons, these are all very important concepts as we go through our Transcending the Matrix series, because we are going to be doing practical rituals that will ignite those very codons within our DNA that will have us reclaiming, reactivating, remembering, remember they're all key words, remembering who we are from a multidimensional perspective. In a generic sense, we say that we have 2 strands of DNA activated and we have another 10 strands of DNA known to be by scientists as junk DNA. Now, it's not a pleasant term from the multidimensional perspective to call that DNA that's inactive junk DNA. Yet we use that term so that we can, again, have these triggers when we're using human language to describe what we're talking about throughout this series, because you're going to hear some words that there's a part of you that knows it because of those codes within your DNA, that remembering process. However, to the third dimensional matrix mind, the one that's been caught up in the system of, we'll call it the left brain analysis, facts, figures, logic, that may reject some of these terms, that may consider, wow, we're really getting into the supernatural here. I'm not sure if I truly believe that. So as you go through this series, remember, you'll have that part of you that will be the natural skeptic. That's okay. Honor that part of you. See that part of you as the left brain, third dimensional human that is simply operating within a program, an implant, an input that has come into the third dimensional matrix. Who put that implant here in the third dimensional matrix? Well, considering you are a subscriber to the beautiful, iconic platform, I know that you are aware that there are some darker, nefarious forces that are operating here within the third dimension. The third dimension has been hijacked by what we'll call the archons or the archontic force. It's a lower astral realm of energy that is likened to dark energy, or a more appropriate term might be to say false light Luciferian energy. Nothing to be afraid of, because in fact, from a multidimensional perspective, it's all aspects of who we are. We all come from the one stream of consciousness, and we created our own perfect galactic game, our own script of this galactic story, so that we would have our opponent, the ultimate opponent, so that we could activate our codons within our DNA. We could activate our multidimensional self. You'll hear me say these words over and over again, so that we could rise to reclaim who we are in the highest dimensional sense. In the highest dimensional sense, we may have a term known as God, Goddess, source code, universal consciousness. You'll have your own personal name for what that omnipotent, omniscient power is that we all come from. And so we are within that monad. We call it the monad meaning one, the one stream of consciousness in which we are all a part of. So there is no separation from this perspective. We reside within unity consciousness always. When we hear terms like unity consciousness, we often consider that to be wonderful and peaceful and magical. And it is. From the highest 12th dimensional and beyond perspective, yes, it absolutely is. We are vibrating within the eternal Om. It's the sound of the universal motor, the Om. This is why the yogis chant Om. It's the remembrance, the reminder of the frequency, the vibration, and the sound. These are the codons, remember, that we're talking about. So this is not to be taken in with the logical mind. This is to be taken in with the vibrational DNA self. We're also going to explore chakras through our series. We've got these energetic ways in which we connect to the greater cosmos. So we have a whole energy map within us, including the chakras, the meridians, the DNA. It's so powerful. You are a supernatural being, and through that hijacking process that's gone on through that archontic force, you have forgotten. Remember, the veil of spiritual or soul amnesia has come down when you were born here in the third dimension. You chose it. It's not something to be frightened of, but it is something that we must all awaken to. And so we have terms such as asleep souls and awakened souls. They all come together here in the third dimensional reality. What's happening at this time on Earth is that Mother Earth herself, we call her Gaia, she is moving from a third dimensional frequency experience into a fifth dimensional frequency experience. And her inhabitants who choose it will move into that fifth dimensional experience and frequency with her. Not all will choose it at this time. And that is because everyone is simply where they need to be on the continuum of consciousness. From a multi-dimensional experience, there is no right, wrong, good, nor bad. We are simply, and I'll quote beautiful David Icke, a point of attention having an infinite experience. We are not our labels. We do not have to get caught up in the third dimensional matrix that tells us who we are from a label perspective. As David Icke so elegantly says, the I am a mantra. I am a white Australian woman. I am a psychologist. I am a yoga teacher. I am a X, Y, and Z. And if I attach to my labels and I believe that's who I am, I immediately create separation. I create separation between myself, even in a simple sense of a woman, and therefore I see the opposite of what may be going on here in the third dimensional experience of men. And therefore I might say, women have more rights, we need to fight the men. I might set up this comparison or this opposition. Now, in some senses, that's okay, depending on what my intention is at the time. There's nothing wrong, of course, with women's rights. But when it gets into a territory where we're using that as a weapon against the opposite of ourselves, then we are caught in that matrix, and we are caught fighting each other, opposing each other, instead of remembering we are the monad, we are the one stream of consciousness, and we are all unified. So if we know that we're a point of attention having an infinite experience, we can make peace with the fact that we are here vibrating, we might say, in the third dimension. What are those lower dimensions? And when I say lower, I'm not saying that's worse. We're using, remember, human language to denote some of these concepts. So the first and the second dimensions are more to do with the mineral, plant, and also the animal kingdom. Now, interestingly, those dimensions are more attuned to the natural or the divine order. What happens in the third dimension for the humans is that they have free will. They have the power to make choice. It's an experiment that we all created. We might say God created the experiment, but we are the God force. In its highest dimensional sense, we are that. We are the divine monadic principle. We cannot be anything else, remember, because we all come from one stream of consciousness. So in the third dimensional reality, with that experiment that's going on, with that ability to have free will, to make choice, we of course then can choose to go the lower road in many occasions. And we would say, well, why would we do that to ourselves? Why, if we had choice, why wouldn't we simply choose the highest road all the time? The reason is because we have come to experience contrast. We have come to experience the opposite of the omnipresent God, Goddess self. It's sheer perfection. We're going to keep traversing through all the dimensions as we go through this series to have that understanding from the different dimensional perspectives of what's going on here. From the highest dimensional perspective, having the third dimensional experiences of going into chaos, of going into destruction, of going into turmoil, of experiencing things like hatred, violence, of having the body undergo many turbulent and many harrowing experiences. Whilst not pleasant, we can't use the term that it's pleasant, is, however, perfect. The perfection lies in the fact that we are experiencing the contrast. We're experiencing the opposite of the monadic, unconditional, loving self. When we experience the opposite, we ultimately become so tired with our own bad behavior, so fatigued with either taking power off someone else or giving our power away, that we have an awakening that we don't need to source energy outside of ourselves. We don't need to control energy or anyone or our future. We don't need to do it from the experience of trying to control what's out there. We have the remembering, the awakening that we are the God force. We are the Goddess force. It resides within us. We are the universal principle, and all power comes from within. When we know that all power comes from within, we activate just naturally, just through that switching on the light of awareness, that recall of who we are. We activate those DNA codons. We activate, we open the chakra system. We let the meridian system is the part of you, both physically and energetically, that carries frequency, oxygen, energy. Prana is the yogic word for it. Or another tradition from the Chinese medicine would be chi. Mana, the Hawaiians call it. Life force, vital force. You know these terms, it's already within you. So we use these terms to describe what that run of energy is within us. Now, the physical body that we all inhabit, the holy temple that we all inhabit, is the microcosmic aspect to the macrocosmic aspect, meaning we are a direct replica. We are a direct feature of what's happening, not only just in our earth, but also what's happening on other dimensional scales of consciousness. So everything is replicated through the dimensions. It goes so quantum, in fact, that sometimes our human mind can't grasp how vast this whole multi-dimensional experience and perspective actually is. And this is why we just need to pay attention to what's happening within us, because if we know that we are the microcosm, if we know that within us we are that direct reflection of what's going on outside of us, then really all we need to do is to heal from within. And that's why this series is called Transcending the Matrix. The matrix, yes, is outside of ourselves, but the matrix is also within us. And when we transcend our own lower nature, when we rise into the awakened soul, from asleep to awaken, from offline to online, from dormant to active, we become then that multidimensional self, that claiming of all the dimensional selves, having this human experience. Now remember what I said about Mother Gaia, or Gaia, moving into fifth dimensional consciousness. It's said to be the first time in our galactic history that this has happened. It's also an explanation and an insight into why there are currently around 8 billion people on the planet. It is said that souls wanted to come to Earth for this grand galactic explosion of light, frequency, color, and sound, this upgrading into the fifth dimension whilst carrying the body of matter. When we say matter, we're talking about the third dimension again, aren't we? We're in form. We have seemingly a solid temple or body around us, a seemingly solid universe in which to play in. However, even within the third dimension, from a quantum science perspective, nothing is solid. Everything is simply vibrating atoms. We are projecting our own reality into what we call the hologram. So this earth plane, this third dimensional plane, is a hologram. We project via our own technology of the third eye chakra, the pineal gland, the pituitary gland, and the optic thalamus. So it's like a crystalline structure, or will become a crystalline structure when you become activated. We all have it. We can all receive higher dimensional energy, and we can transmit higher dimensional energy through that pineal gland. Now, this is where we have to come back to that humans have free will. If humans have free will and they can create their own reality and they can make their own choices here, which is a very advanced and high technology, what happens then if that technology gets hijacked? What happens if a nefarious force has cottoned on to the fact that humans can indeed be programmed and therefore can create realities that are not harmonious and are not in alignment with our highest, truest, galactic, multidimensional self? And so this is where we find ourselves in the matrix. We find ourselves running programs that have been fed to us via this death grid. And I call it a death grid because the dirty matrix, if you like, is here to sell us stories that we're not multidimensional, that we're simply a human carcass having this physical experience, and that at some point we'll just die and we'll just go into the ground and we're kaput. That's it. There is no more. We may live on genetically through our children and our grandchildren and so on and so forth, but we are often led to believe that this self that's having this experience will just simply be eroded upon our deathbed. But from a multidimensional experience, of course, we would say the opposite of true. You are pure consciousness. Remember what we said. You're an infinite point of attention here, just having this experience, and you will move on and have another experience somewhere within the galactic realm, wherever you find yourself. Not right, not wrong, not good, not bad, just simply what is. And we really need to come into resonance with that term. It's another code that will activate within you when I say to just simply accept what is. Your isness is the best way to describe who you are in every single now moment. When you have no resistance to who you are in every single now moment, you have risen into your multidimensional self. You have risen into the monadic principle that accepts that there's a part of you observing your third dimensional human experience that does not judge in any way, in any shape, in any form, any of the experiences, even any of their characters, including those archontic forces, those deep state characters, we might say, the Cabal, the Illuminati, these kind of characters that, yes, are coming at us, particularly at this time on Earth, wanting to siphon off our life force. They actually feed not just on life force, but they feed also on the blood force of humans. And so there's many other wonderful series here on Iconic that you can explore and have a greater understanding of what that's about. But what's important for us to know is that we chose everything. We chose everything that's happening to us. Remember what I said about creating the ultimate opponent so that we would activate and we would rise. We are here to transcend the matrix, but we must first of all identify who we are within that matrix, who are the characters within that matrix, how they are reflections of aspects of ourself. Even if we really don't want to own it, even if we really don't want to admit it, we must find a way to embrace all those aspects, those lower frequencies, those destructive frequencies, those very evil, we may even need to use that word to really denote just how dark some of the practices have become here in the third dimension, in the dirty matrix or the death grid. So the death grid designed, as I said, to give you a sense that you're really nothing more than just that human that's going to just cark it at some point, and that's it, it's over. You're also led to believe that you aren't able to heal yourself, that you need science and medicine and all of these things. Again, all external proponents that, yes, if your intuition told you that is what you need, then yes, that is what you need. But if your intuition also told you that you could heal yourself, then that is what you need. So we can't say one is right, wrong, good nor bad. We must, however though, remain completely in alignment with self. We could say that our multidimensional self is our future timelines that are talking to us in the now moment. And this is again where it gets challenging to use human language to describe what's going on. There really is no past nor future. When we talk about past and future, it's very, very important that we know that when we get stuck into the if onlys of the past. If only I'd done that and I'd be in a better position now. Or the what ifs of the future. Or what if this happens, so I'll control everything from this moment. We have to eradicate any concepts of if only or what if. Come into complete alignment in the now moment. Complete trust in the now moment that we are always, always, always being given what we need to express the multidimensional self through the human self. Always. If you know that you are the God-Goddess principle, then you know you can never ever, not for one fraction of a moment of a millisecond, be cut off from that force. Never. And so just like the birds in the sky are always looked after, we too are part of creation. We too are part of nature. So we are always looked after. Remember what I said about microcosm, macrocosm. All we have to do is observe in the macrocosm how things in their natural order and their natural balance just unfold organically, beautifully. And if we know that we can adapt that within ourselves, we too then align with nature. We move with the earth as she takes that graceful passage into the fifth dimension. If you're with the earth, if you're with nature, if you're with the organic timeline, you will naturally move into fifth dimensional consciousness whilst inhabiting this physical body. If you're against the earth, if you're the one that says, I don't trust Mother Nature, I need to put my attention and my faith in something that man created, and remember, if man is that archontic force, not all men, not all women, but even if they are adhering because they want to keep their job or they just simply have not awoken to who they are. And so again, to quote beautiful David Icke, when we see the pyramid of what's going on here that can give us an insight into this third dimensional dirty matrix, we see at the top the ruling class, we see the imposition and the acquiescence coming down through the layers, and then the imposition and the acquiescence and the imposition and the acquiescence until we come down into the masses, the human masses that sit at the bottom of the pyramid, giving their power away always to the top of the pyramid. Now, it's innate within us to want to align to something at the top. This is why we have to remember we're not aligning to a dark force within the third dimension as the top of the pyramid. What we are aligning to is the highest multidimensional self. And it's not just the ruling elite, the few, the 1% that sit within that highest dimensional frequency. It's all of us. It's all of us. It's all of our highest potential. It's all of our beautiful hearts. It's all of the frequency of unconditional love and acceptance, compassion, kindness, forgiveness, embracing of all that we are, and accepting of all that we've come to experience here in the third dimension as the contrast, as the opposite. So in this moment, make peace with where you are on the continuum of consciousness, on the continuum of your own soul journey. When you make peace, when you eradicate the need to be anything other than what you are, you automatically become aligned to your highest multidimensional self. There really isn't anything to do to reclaim or to activate that junk DNA or reclaim the higher dimensional selves. And this is what can get tricky for many people. It's like, well, I'm not meant to do anything, so how do I achieve this? It's in remembering. Same as what I said right at the beginning of this chat. It's in remembering, recalling. It's in claiming or reclaiming who you are, because it's already there within you. You're not having to gain anything. You're not having to strive, strain, grasp. You're actually being asked to relax, to let go, to move out of the left brain thinking of planning, the remember hung up of the past, if only of the past, or the what ifs of the future, the problem solving, all of that logic and all of that control. That's the archontic force that's hijacked you and taken over. And shifting into the right brain, the creative self, the one that's attuned to nature, the one that really does hear whispers from the animal friends, that really sees the shapes in the clouds and knows that that's a message in the now moment, that hears the wind rustling through the trees and feels the connection to all that is. It's in the simplicity. It's returning to innocence. It's the inner child reactivated, the mystical one, the one that knows that there is so much support, so much grace, so much beauty around you in every single now moment, in the isness of what is. There's that word again, in the isness, that you just simply drop into now. And in the now, you are looked after eternally. And so when you experience yourself moving out of the now moment and trying to control again, you'll notice what that does in terms of your bodies. Not just the physical body, but what happens to your emotional body. Your emotional body will ride the waves. It will fluctuate depending on your state of isness, your state of presence in the now moment. And so it's a really good feedback system to you to just see where you're at. Are you controlling again? Are you hung up on what someone said to you? Are you thinking about what you should say to someone else? Are you trying to control circumstances that are outside of yourself? Now, I'm not saying that we're not in a realm where there's a lot of destruction and darkness going on. And of course, we all, as good humans, will choose to step up, stand up, and support where we can for the eradication of many of these dark practices. But we do it from now moment. We do it from living with the awareness that we will receive higher intel from our multidimensional self as to what we need to do moment to moment. When you start to live within that space, we might call it magic or miracles. As an Australian, I can tell you, knowing the folklore, L-O-R-E, folklore of our Indigenous wisdom keepers, of our original people, they have never left magic. They know that the monad is within magic. So magic is available to you. We have simply, again, had that spiritual amnesia. We cannot see the curtain between the third dimension and the higher dimensions, but they can. They can, and they will perform miracles and they will perform magic, and it is absolutely real. They know how to activate the supernatural self. And so the small things that we can do to use those supernatural gifts that we all have is to be aware of synchronicity in the now moment, to be aware of intuition in the now moment, to be aware of, we'll call it coincidences. So coincidences, in one aspect, there are no coincidences because everything is aligning magnetically in the now moment to show you your pathway, to show you your way forward. So we're going to, with each of our videos in this series, we're going to have practical rituals that we can do in order to transcend the matrix, in order to remember our multidimensional self. So I would love you to join me now for a beautiful meditation of activating those dormant 10 strands of, remember, I'll say it in inverted commas, junk DNA. And we're also going to explore connection to the multidimensional aspects, again, our future timelines, if you like, that are residing here in now moment. All dimensions are stacked one on top of each other in the now moment. There is nowhere else to go than simply to be here. So join me now for this beautiful ritual.
Coming into a comfortable position, either in a straight back chair with your legs uncrossed and your feet flat on the earth, or laying yourself all the way down onto the ground with your feet flopped out to the side and your palms turned up. If you are more experienced with your meditation practices, please come into your favorite meditation seated pose with your spine straight and your shoulders stacked over your hips. Move into a deep flowing breath, awakening life force energy from the lower belly as you inhale through the nostrils, expanding out the lower belly and allowing the breath to rise up, expanding the ribs, expanding the chest until the breath reaches the collarbones, and then exhaling, letting go, allowing the breath to drain out of the chest and the ribs and the lower belly. An empty space in the lower belly, awaiting a new breath, drinking in the life force energy via this deep pranic breathing, expanding all the way through the torso as if the torso were a balloon that you fill up. And as you exhale, you can deflate that balloon, allow the breath to drain out of the torso, and again until the lower belly becomes empty. Empty belly, empty mind. Continue breathing in this way, finding your own natural rhythm with your breath, and have a sense that the rhythm of your in-breath is even to the rhythm of your out-breath. Move into this rhythmic flow so your mind becomes tranquil like the calm surface of a pond, reflecting the calmness and the fluctuations of the thinking self just become settled. As you move deeper into awareness of your physical body as an energetic vehicle that carries your soul frequency. Your physical temple is the dwelling place of the very highest monadic God-Goddess force. The supernatural is available to you in the now moment via the coding within the DNA, within each and every cell that's vibrating within your physical structure. You are aware that you have the double helix 2-strand DNA operational online frequency available to you in every cell of your physical temple. Your DNA is the pure mystery of creation. The DNA carries the coding from the God-Goddess creator force. You have the potential as a human to upgrade your technology from 2-strand DNA to 12-strand DNA. Have a sense of the DNA threads becoming multiplied until you see 6 strands of DNA rotating in one direction and 6 strands of DNA rotating in the other direction, wrapping around themselves and creating an upward spiral of energy. Your 12 strands of DNA that were once dormant have come online. You see a pulsation running through your 12 strands of DNA, a coding coming direct from the omnipresent force, the pulse of creation, pulsing light coding through your 12 strands of activated DNA, where you may have been offline to some of your highest potential. You have now become online. Your technology is now upgraded to full 12-strand DNA human new earth being. You are able to receive and transmit the very direct codes from the God, Goddess source. Your mRNA, the messenger RNA, is copying, duplicating, replicating your 12-strand DNA cells over and over. You are fully operational. The pulsation of creation is running through your system now. You will have supernatural experiences as you are able to decode higher realities. You have moved out of the third dimensional matrix that has kept you in a suppressed 2 DNA operational system. You are now aware of yourself as the creator, experiencing your own creation in the third dimension. Your operational 12 strands of DNA are now being multiplied by the 12 dimensions of reality. The 12 by 12 creates the 144 God code within you. You are able to move in and out of any dimension at any time that you choose. You have the supernatural power to move at will into any timeline that serves you in each now moment. You are able to commune easily with the aspects of yourself that reside in higher dimensions that can bring through codes, frequencies, intuition, knowing, information that will assist you as you have this experience of matter in the third dimension. You are a 12-stranded DNA supernatural new earth human being. As you radiate this powerful and potent God, Goddess, source, creator frequency of light out into all of creation, you attract back only the highest frequency of light and love experience. Feel the immense power of your 12 by 12 144 God code, activated and humming as a pulse of creation in every cell, as your DNA continues to replicate and duplicate. And when you feel ready, you may open your eyes and go about your daily life. Thank you for joining us for episode 1 of Transcending the Matrix, remembering your multidimensional self.